All right. Well, welcome to the Monday Mastermind. I'm excited, guys, to share with you some cool stuff. Something that I read this week in an article in Inman that actually got my juices kind of flowing again and made me kind of start thinking about, just different things and what these agents that are all young agents, they're all millennial agents, what they're doing in their business to have success. And then what actually got me really excited is I'm kind of like a stalker online, right? For people that are having success, and I like to see what they're doing because articles can be written about people, and you just never know what is real and what's not real. Well, after I read through the article, I started looking up these agents and kind of seeing what they're doing online, and was kind of impressed by some of them, not so much online, but I obviously know everybody isn't necessarily, that's not part of their business model all the way yet. But either way, I wanted to just kind of talk about this article because I think there's a lot of great points in it. And then I wanted to kind of go over and kind of look at what they're doing and share with you guys some of my feedback and thoughts around all of that. So I think that, like most calls, we'll kind of, again, it's just a mastermind. So we're going to be just talking. And I think out of it, hopefully you'll be able to take away some good nuggets based on either what these agents are doing or kind of our analysis of it. So that's it. And Curtis, my sidekick, is along for the ride. He probably hasn't even read the article yet because I didn't even tell him what we were doing today. But I know, like always, he'll be able to roll with it, and he's going to give some great insight and feedback on it. So anyways, with that being said, I just want to kind of roll right into it, guys, with you guys. And I'm going to share the article here. So let me share my screen.
I don't need a rundown, Kyle. I'll jump right in, man. You
I
just start
figured that's how
spitting
you
in.
roll, man. I love it. I love it. Well, let me share my screen here. Let's go ahead and say share, and we're going to pull this article right over to the side here. All right. So I don't know if you read this article already. Go ahead and put in the chat like a 1 or raise your hand or something. I'm just curious to see who reads Inman. But anyways, what we got here is, what do these 30 under 30 agents all have in common? So for those of you that don't know, Inman puts on a 30 under 30 every single year. Unfortunately, I am not eligible for that award any longer. For the last 3 years, I'm 33 now. So, but I like to see what younger agents are doing, kind of like what's coming up as far as social media and just technology. A lot of times, these agents that are doing cool stuff around the country are pretty plugged into that. So I was curious to see what these agents are doing. And a lot of what they're doing actually might surprise you. It might not be as tech savvy or social media kind of stuff as you might expect. So anyways, the first person that I wanted to look up was this girl, Jenny Locke. It looks like she's out of California. She's with Keller Williams. But what's really interesting, so what her game plan for success is of course, we all know, be proactively lead generating constantly, right? Don't be afraid to pick up the phone, go out there, knock, right? Knock on doors. That's what she talks about. Consistently doing a neighborhood farm and then hosting events for the neighborhood. So I will say I've never done a neighborhood farming, kind of like where I do events and things like that for the neighborhood. Now I do that for my sphere of influence and hosting events, both on a monthly and a kind of a yearly basis, big annual events like a Christmas party and things like that. And they are super effective. So I can just imagine doing it in a neighborhood environment would be extremely effective as well. So if anybody's on the call that does any kind of neighborhood farming at a high level, feel free to, chime in, put your name in the chat there. But I do know that farming neighborhoods can be extremely effective. And what I know about that, I would say, is mostly you've got to do from multiple aspects, right? If you're just sending out a mailer to your neighborhood farm, that's probably not going to be as effective as if you're, constantly holding open houses in that same neighborhood and putting signs up every single weekend or every other weekend. And then, also adding on top of that events like they talk about, doing things that, if you got an amenity center, hosting things like that, picnics. They talk about, doing some kind of like learning workshops where they can, teach about home buying, stuff like that, selling maybe, if it's already a neighborhood that people own homes, maybe you're going to be, talking about the neighborhood values and things like that, just happy hours, stuff like that. I thought was pretty cool. There's one thing she said that I thought was kind of an interesting deal that I don't know if I necessarily agree with it 100%. Some of it I do, but she says to work with a team or build a team. And so, the traditional solo agent with an assistant model will not suffice in today's competitive market. We have a team of 13 people with 9 agents. It's important to constantly be out there to build your brand. I've built a large team, and I will say from doing that, going back to solo agent, I don't know that that's necessarily true it just depends on your level of success, right? I think that, an agent with an assistant can sell anywhere from 60 to 80 homes a year. And for most of us on this call, that would probably be a pretty good number to sell each year. And so now if you want to sell hundreds of homes a year, then yeah, maybe that gets to be true. But I would still say that, I know teams that are selling, 100 to 200 homes with 4 to 5 agents. I don't know that you necessarily need 13 people. And so I don't know, just one of those things, different for everybody, but that was just one of the things that I figured I'd point out. And then I definitely agree with this. And Inman needs to kind of fix their or do a spell check, but create a 5-year plan, then working backwards, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, and 1 year. And I even say, 6 months down to 1 month, then weekly to daily. And that's so true, guys. I think that, we all need to have a business plan. I know that for me, I definitely do that. I actually haven't went out 5 years, so I can't say that I do that for sure. But I do have a 3-year, a 1 year, a 6 month, a monthly, and then go all the way down to a daily plan. And that's so important to help you focus on what you need to be doing each and every day. And so as my business has kind of adjusted over time, and it's shifted from a team to an individual agent to now also kind of this real estate kind of trainer, coach that I'm doing, I've got a plan for all of that stuff going out, every day, every week, what I need to accomplish every month, and then projections and goals based on that. So of course that's extremely important. Now I want to pull up and just kind of show you guys what this person's social media and online presence kind of looks like. I kind of pull up here. So you've got on here, this is her on her Facebook page. She's got a Facebook business page. Nice looking, right? 515 people like it. Nothing crazy. It's not like she's got thousands and thousands of people, right? But she hit Inman's 30 and 30. You can see here, as far as reviews go, let's see what she's got. 5 out of 5 based on 8 people. She's only got 8 people on her Facebook business page reviewed her 5 out of 5. I think that, of course you can get more than that. Reviews are extremely important, and you'll see we'll go into Zillow here in a second, what she's got over there. But, her posting schedule looks like she posts, so see July 9th, that was 6 days ago, May 19th. Let's see, you'll scroll down, May 10th. Not a whole lot of posts. Maybe 1 to 2 to 3 per month, which, to be quite honest with you guys, even myself, I don't post that much on my Facebook business page. So I'm not going to fault her there. I do think that the reach on Facebook business, we've talked about this in the past, is not necessarily something that unless you're paying for boosted posts and for advertising, you're probably not going to get a lot of reach from your business page. So she very well may be just using her personal profile and doing that kind of thing for her real estate business. But that being said, it's still important to have the page and to get some traction behind it, some reviews and stuff like that, just so that way when people look you up, there's something there. So hey, she's got that for sure, and that's what kind of looks like there. If you just Google her name and real estate, this is kind of what comes up for that. It doesn't look like she's got like an actual website for herself. She's got one through Keller Williams, it looks like. Zillow is kind of the first one that comes up when you reach out or Google her. Of course, she's got LinkedIn, and that's kind of it. And then down here, we get into her Instagram. She got 1,487 followers. Pretty good, I would say there. And then if you actually look here, it looks like she does actually have a website. Let's see what that looks like. theownteam.com. Kind of take a look at it. So this would be, it looks like her website. Oh, it looks like she's a part of a team. So Wilson might be her team leader there. So anyway, so you can see that it looks like she's part of a team, but this is her actual personal Instagram page. It said that I had looked up something else, and she had done about 25 million in volume this year, which is a lot of volume. The team that she's a part of did about 108 million in volume. So again, pretty good numbers there. Definitely nothing to look down upon. But then as far as her Instagram goes, I don't know, her posting schedule looks like she posts fairly often. She's got 300 posts on there. And then lastly, her Zillow profile, she's got 10 reviews, 37 sales in the last 12 months. So, she's got definitely stuff out there. I definitely think that all those things are important to have. If you haven't already gotten reviews on your Zillow profile, go onto Zillow and get reviews. People will look you up on a lot of places. And most of the time, if they just type in your name, because Zillow is such a big real estate site, it's going to be one of the first things that pops up. So you're going to want to have some reviews on there. So anyways, that's Jenny Locke. Curtis, anything you want to share as far as that, her either her insight or her presence online? Any takeaways from it?
Yeah, I've got two. Number one, I just wanted to go back to the business plan for a second, because I know it's been a while since we've covered that topic in depth, but coming up here near the end of the third quarter is when we'll start kicking that topic back up into gear to prepare for 2020 for everybody on the call. But if you're sitting there wondering like, well, I wonder what's in her business plan, I wonder what it looks like, the easiest thing that I can tell you, and if you don't know these for yourself, is it's full of numbers, right? She's got her sales goals, her unit goals. She's got her conversion percentages. She's got her amount of leads she needs in her pipeline. She's got, amount of calls she's making prospecting wise. Like, if you haven't looked at somebody's business plan who sells 25 million a year, that's what it looks like. It's full of numbers. So just wanted to remind you, if you're sitting there wondering like, man, I need to scratch out my rest of my year or the next couple of months or whatever, put some numbers down on paper today. Don't be afraid. Bring them to us next week. We'll gladly, help you analyze them and make suggestions. And then the second thing that stuck out for me, just as you looked at her profile, was this word of congruence, like things that match, and they all kind of align and go together. I'd say that's probably one of the hardest things for most people to do, because we so rarely sit down when it comes to our social media and actually make it all match, right? If you think about like the upstairs of your house, you probably don't have 6 different paint colors. But if you think about your social media presence, you probably do have 6 different versions of what you look like and what you type. And look at that profile picture. Like, it's all continuous from her Facebook to her Instagram to her web branding stuff. Like, everything is pretty, congruent. It all kind of fits and matches. So that's the other thing that I like. You look at all her pictures, right? They've all got good lighting. They're all very clear. She just doesn't have a lot of confusing information out there for buyers and sellers. So even though she may not have thousands and thousands of friends and followers and reviews, she looks, sharp and professional and consistent. And I think that buys you some credit when you look at people online.
Awesome. I love it. Well, cool. Let's move on to the next person now. I like this gentleman too, out of North Carolina, named Davis Holt out of Remax United. So pretty cool guy here. The one thing that all these people talk about is, family and, doing this for their family, and they love to be with families. I mean, I think that one of the cool things about this real estate business is, all these people have a why beyond just, kind of selling, homes or making money. Like, I mean, I think that, that's something too, that it's not really in this article necessarily, but, something that drives me and has always driven me is, the joy that I get kind of helping families and becoming like part of their family in some cases. And then just, like the idea that I can actually incorporate my family as part of this. Like, a lot of my clients, like they know my kids, and one of the things that you'll see from this guy, Davis Holt, and a couple of the others, is they talk a lot about family. And it's funny, actually, I think like 3 out of the 5 people we're going to talk about, they actually are like mother-daughter teams. And so, that was a kind of cool thing as far as business goes. But anyways, this guy, Davis Holt, Remax United, some of his current game plans for success, what he talks about is effectively marketing to our database. We've talked about this. I forget if it was maybe like 2 weeks ago, but he has a 66 touch plan for staying in touch with his database on a consistent basis. And guys, you don't know how important that is. I think last time we talked about, even if you have 32 touch, I think that's pretty darn good. But 66, that's a whole nother level. I don't even have that many touches in my business plan. But guys, just have a plan, right? Like, that's the whole part, right? Like, if you've got
with a number, plan and a number, like you got 4, you got 44, you got 22, yep. It doesn't matter. Just something.
Whatever it is, right? Yeah. 30, 25, 5, I don't know, whatever that's going to be, like, have some plan. And I think that's going to be super important. He talks about that as being one of the most important things for his business to have success. And so, and I'll tell you guys, I mean, that is, I think the number was, it's 6-1. So for every lead in your database, if you have a touch plan, and mine is 32 points, if you have 32 points, it's 6-1 for anybody that's in your database that knows, likes, and trusts you. So meaning that if you've got 60 people in there, you should be getting 10 deals from that database on a yearly basis if you're sticking to a consistent touch plan with them. And so I've got at this point about 300 in my database, and it's no clue why, no surprise why I sell 50 homes a year. Like, that's just how it is. And that number didn't go down. Like, if we were doing, internet leads and Facebook stuff for a very long time. And I basically cut that out of my business here in the last 6 months or so. But at this point, I'm still on track, this year to hitting about 50 units. And it's just because of my database and, doing that touch plan with my database. That's all that I do at this point. And so anyways, that's super, super important to note that and to point that out, is having a 66 touch plan for your database. Improving the client experience. Another big one there, guys. I mean, this is just, things that you can do, simple things that you can do throughout the process, whether it's a listing, whether it's a buyer, that you can take it a step above and create an exceptional experience that makes people remember you, right? Because then they'll either come back to you for business, they'll tell their friends about you. So important to improving the client experience. Providing real value to clients. Again, this is what he talks about, separating himself from like the iBuyers and things out there like Open Door, and how we as real estate agents are going to continue to get the business that we've always got, because our value, the value that we provide to clients, is so much different than what they're going to get at an iBuyer or anything like that. So we got to always be aware of that. And then of course, embracing technology. So he talks about, just, using technology in his business. We've talked a lot about technology and the different types of things. We'll actually get a little bit further down in the article. We talk about like one of the agents talks about CRM systems and a couple different tools that they use. And I think, in fact, one of the next week's, something we might do as a future training is kind of talk about all of the systems and tools that I use in my real estate sales business. I actually did this last week for my EXP agent attraction business. And it was actually a really, really good call that we did. I think we got a lot of likes on it, but I think I could do something similar as far as technology and the tools and systems that I use in my real estate sales business. And so, because again, technology is so important today, guys, as far as scaling your business. You might not need it if you're just trying to get up and going. Sometimes it can be more of a distraction almost. If you're just going out there trying to do all this stuff and you haven't even sold 5 homes yet, like, it can be more of a distraction than really just getting out there and prospecting and making phone calls. You can almost use technology as a crutch, as like a time waster, because you're thinking, oh, well, if I can get this going, then then all the business will come. It's almost not like that. It's almost like, now I see at this point, I had to put in years and years of prospecting and building my business through like manual labor and just like manual work. And now, to keep that business flowing and sustaining, I use technology to help me with those efforts. And so I think that's almost like a misconception that a lot of people might have. And so anyways, that's something I want to share there. Now, let me
real quick,
yeah.
just to tie back in what that girl said earlier, like be on a team or have a team, and then kind of what you were just talking about with prospecting and technology as leverage. I think that's like a probably something she doesn't really articulate very well, but it's probably an important distinction. The reason she probably finds a team so valuable, if you recall, she said there's 9 agents and 4 admin for a total of 13, and she sells 40 units a year at a high sales price, right? Meaning she's probably providing an extremely high level of service, an amazing experience, and she probably spends a lot of time prospecting. So that is a good candidate to be on a team or to have a team, right? A team of administrative support. But if you're not like an elite prospector and you're not providing a high level of service to a high number of clients, that team is not something you need next. You need to do more prospecting, and the tools and technology are not something else you need to use until you have a good, prospecting skill set. Like, all the tech you're going to show now is going to be stuff that, supplements what you do on a prospecting side. And on the team side, the tech we used to use was more administrative, because we had agents doing a high volume of work and we needed tools to automate some of the other stuff, So I just think that's provides a little bit of clarity. Don't think you need to go out and get people until you're an elite prospector doing a lot of sales.
Exactly. Exactly. I love it. Well, cool. So then now let's check out Davis Holt's online presence. Let's see what's he doing online. So if you just do a quick search for Davis Holt Real Estate, of course, the first thing that comes up is his Remax page, realtor.com, Zillow. And then he's part of this Give Back Homes. I looked this up. That's not his actual website. He's just a part of it. I can actually pull it up just to show you real quick. It's just like a little deal about who he is as a realtor, but it's not actually, his deal. He's just a part of this charity. And so it doesn't look like, I couldn't find an actual one-off website of his. You look at Zillow, he's got a huge Zillow presence. All right. So I'm sure he's probably picking up some business off of Zillow. He's a Zillow premier agent, 168 reviews, 5 stars, 84 sales in the last 12 months. So this guy's doing a lot of business. Right. But that's also him and his mom. He's one of the, mother-son teams there. And so it's his mom and then him. And you can see they got over 20 years of experience. They're, again, out of the North Carolina area. But some really good stuff, right? So we got that there. Then if we look him up on Facebook, I couldn't even find a Facebook business page for at least for him. They might have one as a shared team. We can kind of take a look at that. The results team. There you go. Yep. So they do have one as a team. Let's take a look here. They've got about 560 likes. They've got 18 reviews, 4.9 out of 5. You can see them here. It looks like as far as their posting strategy, July 12th, July 4th. So they're putting up, weekly content, I would say June 28th. Looks like, they're adding their listings in there. So some good stuff, putting in, hashtags to try and get some more reach, people that will find them. And on Facebook business page, like I say, it's hard to get reach. It's hard to get stuff unless you're promoting these posts. So, it's still good to have them because, again, if people are looking you up, you want people to find stuff. But as far as getting out there and just people finding you organically on Facebook, probably not going to have too much success unless you're boosting posts. So anyways, but there's that. His Instagram, I could not find anything. I put him in here and there's nothing. So we might be able to find something if we look at his team name, the results team, but I'm sure there's a lot of the results team. So being able to find that, probably not going to be very good. So anyways, I would say that, as far as online goes, probably not the most fluent there, but it looks like he's getting a lot of business. He's a Zillow premier agent. I would imagine he's probably, getting some leads off of Zillow. Plus his mom being in the business quite a while, they probably get some, obviously a lot of referral, sphere of influence business, and he's doing well. So, 80 homes a year, that's definitely 84 homes in the last 12 months. That's definitely a pretty good there. So anyways, let's move on to the next person. All right. We're going to talk about Felicia Mares, and she's out of Oakland, California. All right. She says you need to figure out your goals, right? So we talked about that. I think 3 of the people out of the 5 talk about goal setting and how important that is. But one of the cool things that she talks about that I think is so important, and sometimes we get caught up with this, but she talks about lead generation goals, but then focusing on enjoyable lead generation and the lead generation that you enjoy, right? So she actually says, quote, my main 2 types of prospecting are hosting open houses and social media. I genuinely enjoy these 2 things, which makes me happy to work on gaining leads, which means it is sustainable. If door knocking was my biggest source of leads, I'd be miserable because I don't like door knocking. So guys, there's no right business model for everybody, right? Like, does door knocking work? Yeah, it works, right? But it only works if you enjoy doing it and you're going to be consistent and do it all the time. And so, you got to find what you like to do and then just do more of it, right? So same kind of thing there, right? Like I kind of agree with her. Like, those are probably my 2 favorite things. I love open houses and I love social media. And that's, at this point where I get all my business from, and at this point, I don't even do open houses anymore, but I used to do a lot of them and I enjoyed doing them. I loved, getting up and kind of putting signs out, getting up early in the morning, knocking on the doors around the houses, inviting neighbors, getting people to come into the houses and, talking to people every single day. I was just used to it because my past job, being in new home sales, it's kind of what I did there. I sat in a model home and people came to it. So it was very familiar for me. I could do that week in and week out without fail and get leads from it consistently all the time. And so, and just again, we've had videos and trainings where we talk about open houses, how you can do those. We won't rehash it in this one, but it's one of those things, you don't have to do them on your listings, right? Find other agents. I'm sure there's agents that are happy to let you do them. If that's something you want to do, then find a way, right? Don't make excuses and say, well, I don't have listings or something like that. There's always a way for you to do whatever type of lead generation that you want to do. And if it's, and I think that's kind of the difference too, between agents that have success and the ones that don't, is the ones that like make excuses and find reasons why they can't do stuff. They don't have success in this business. The ones that make a way, like even if it's a financial thing, find somebody you can partner with, find, a way that you can share those expenses and like make it happen. Like there should be no reason why you cannot do something in real estate. So find what you like, find a way to do it, and then just go out there and be consistent and do it all the time. So that's something I took away from kind of this person here. Educate clients up front. We talked about this last week in the buyer consultation process. And she says that she meets with a buyer for an hour to an hour and a half just to educate them on the market, the home buying process, and how she works with her clients. Saves a ton of time moving forward, so she doesn't have to re-explain things over and over. And for sellers, the listing presentation should be a mini class in selling a home. Again, we've talked about that, how important that is. So again, really, really cool to see that she put that. And then being authentic, being who you are. That took some time for me to learn that and to gain that. Being authentic. I think, when I first got into real estate, I was so worried that I was, young in the business. I think when I first joined in real estate, I was 22 years old. And I was just worried about what people were going to think about me. And, and that, they weren't going to trust, a young kid or whatever. So I always had to like be this person that I wasn't, and it wasn't until, obviously having a little bit of success and some confidence behind you helps. But once I became authentic and, started being who I am, this business became really easy. I will say that. I didn't have to feel like I, was doing something that wasn't me. And so my days became more fun. People wanted to work with me more, often versus me having to go out there and sell people on stuff. And so that's a really cool thing to see as well there. So be authentic. Let's see. I'm going to get into our social media, but Curtis, anything you wanted to share there or talk about before I jump into that?
Yeah, real quick, Kyle. So number one, in that educate clients bullet point, read that first sentence again. She says, my buyer presentations last an hour to an hour and a half, right? Just back to like the thing that I keep harping on is knowing your numbers. Like she's very clear on what she does and she knows what she does. She knows how long it's going to take. She probably knows how often she needs to do them, like all that good stuff. I just like numbers keep popping out, right? So as these people that are successful, as they talk and share and communicate, they talk about their numbers and they know them really well. So just another challenge again today to go back and make sure you know your numbers. And on the education front, I just wanted to remind people like the way this reads, when you read every single one of these people, talking about what's working for them, they're all telling you like what they like and what they're good at and just like who they are, right? So an exercise you could do today is write out these like 5 bullet points for you, pretend that they're interviewing you and pretend you're telling Inman what you're all about and what you stand for, and make sure you do it not based on like, what you think you should be like or what you think you should do it as if you were really successful doing what you want to do. Like that education hits home to me too. I'm a big educator. I love educating buyers and sellers. That's been a big integral part of my process, but not everybody else mentioned that, right? So if that fits you, make sure you're highlighting that for yourself. And if it doesn't, make sure you're highlighting, what does fit you. I just think that'd be a cool exercise. And that one spoke to me.
Awesome. All right. So let's pull her up. Let's see what she's doing online. So she's got, it looks like a website through her brokerage, Abio Properties, right? And this is just like her page on it. I didn't find anything like personally as far as, just like a website just for her when I Googled her. But as far as like Instagram, she got about 1,500 followers on there. She is authentic, like she's herself, right? Like most of the pictures, of her, having fun, stuff like that. It's not just all about like real estate, right? Like sometimes I think, even myself, like when I got in the beginning, I had to think like, man, like I only have to post professional, like, my houses, or if it's like a video of me talking about real estate, But, in general, guys, like this stuff is, what I think people, associate with, at least in this day and age, and maybe for this particular market. Like if she's trying to attract millennial buyers, that's maybe her target demographic. I mean, this is going to go, just fine. If somebody looks her up to see if they want to work with her, she's a real person, right? So, really cool there. She looks like she's got a YouTube video that kind of talks a little bit about who she is. But then if you come over here to her Facebook business page, very professional. Look at that, like a nice professionally done video as kind of her, banner image or whatever you call that there. It looks really well done. It's her being herself. She's got a nice little, picture there as her icon. 200 people follow, not a ton of people, right? But at least it looks professional when she comes here. She's got 10 5-star reviews on there. Really, really good looking profile. But as far as her posting schedule, looks like she posted July 5th. Let's see what she's posting on here. July 4th, June 19th, June 15th, June 11th. So it's kind of sporadic, right? June 8th, like she put a couple posts in June, a few posts here recently. But she's got some stuff going on there. And she's got, again, same thing as her Instagram. She's got some stuff talking about, business. She's got some, personal stuff. And if you're comfortable mixing that, I think that can be one of the best strategies still. So kind of cool there. That's Felicia Mares. Felicia Mares. All right. So let's pull up the next one here. Alexa Caballo Hughes out of Remax, South Windsor, Connecticut. Okay. So again, same thing, mother-daughter real estate. I don't know if they're a team or what, but some of the cool things she talks about, that her game plan for success is leveraging video. So guys, if you're not on the video train yet, I think that, you've got to be, at least for, right now you're probably fine without having to do video, but I'm telling you, it'll make your job that much easier 2, 3, 5 years down the road. If you start to get comfortable with video, if you start to put video content out there, it's just going to make your job that much easier. For one, scalability wise, when I create a video now, I look at the views and I look at like 100 views, and I'm basically thinking of that as like, man, that's like me basically having to say the same thing to 100 people, how much time that would take, versus I create a 5-minute video or a 10-minute video and I have that, that kind of impact on that many people. I mean, it's mind boggling, to be able to do that. And so, leveraging video is huge, but I also think too, and she kind of talks about this, the personalization of what you can do with video is so important, where like she uses BombBomb. We've talked about that in the past, where you can use that to send one-on-one videos to somebody, right? Like through Gmail, instead of typing something out, you can create a 30-second BombBomb video, shows your face, shows you talking to that person. And that's so important, guys. So she's able to more effectively communicate with her clients that way. It's the closest you can get to face-to-face communication while allowing you to respond in a timely manner. So really cool there. I love that, leveraging video, create and maintain a strong network. So again, we talk about, how important it is to be networked, not only with, other professionals in your area. It's important to network, all over the country with agents that are doing things, differently. I think that's been a huge part of my business. And, growing my businesses, I've always been plugged into the realtor community, trying to learn from other realtors, and then also share with other realtors. And so, I will say that having a strong network is extremely important in this business. So if you're a new agent and you're like, just kind of feeling like you're out there on your own, I promise you there are people that you can link up with. Like, as a brand new agent, you can link up with people that are more seasoned than you. You can, link up with people that are at the same level as you. Curtis and I kind of call it being, having a running buddy. But having somebody, and multiple people that you can rely on, I think is important. But then also the other way that I took this is having a network of people that you can be the expert of in your market and send people to. Like, one of the reasons that I truly feel that I've been successful as a real estate agent here in San Antonio is now I'm like more than just a real estate agent. Like, when people have a question about who to call for something random, right? Like usually home related, but it's not necessarily selling a home. They call me first, right? Like they text me. They say, hey, Kyle, who do you have that's a good landscaper? Who do you know that does pools? What should we do for, this situation? Like, I'm just the expert with pretty much anything related to real estate, not just selling real estate. And it's because I've got a great network of people that I've built over the years. And so one of the things that you can focus on if you're a new agent is really just starting to try and build that network, right? I went as far as like having an actual Excel spreadsheet where I would just, every time I'd meet somebody, I'd put them in that list and know, okay, like this guy's a painter, this guy's a landscaper, this guy's home warranty, this guy's insurance, right? And so like whenever I did have a question, like, hey, who do you recommend for that? I could send out 3 people that I've personally met with and say, hey, just, give these 3 a call, whoever you feel best about. And then that's just, like I say, it's giving that extra value to somebody. You seem like the expert, and then they come to you for everything, not just for selling homes. And I think that's so important, having a strong network. Giving back, we do know how important it is to give back. I try and give back as far as, my time and volunteering and just, even creating content, I feel is almost another form of giving back that it just makes you feel good, right? And then when you give back, the coolest thing, at least in this instance, like I always have benefited from it, right? So whether it's giving back content, I've already benefited immensely from giving back in this content. But then even like relationships and networking and things that you'll make when you're out there giving back, it's just, a rewarding feeling, but it also rewards you most of the time in other ways, in your business. So getting involved with your association, again, that's kind of part of building a network. You're going to meet a lot of people. You're going to meet a lot of other agents that you can learn from, that you can share things with. Plus, of course, you'll stay on top of the different trends and things that people are doing. So really cool there. Let's go ahead and take a look and see Alexa, what her profile looks like here. Online, she's got a website, thecaballogroup.com, mother-daughter group here. Professional, good-looking website, right? It's not like necessarily like anything lead generation wise. Let's kind of take a look and see what she's got for a blog here. Not much of a blogger. If we click on search homes, it goes and takes you to an IDX. That's by IDX Broker. So basically it's just like a plugin that she plugs into her website. Not anything super techy or forward thinking that we can kind of gain from that. But you can see here, I mean, obviously they're having some success. I did want to pull her up on Zillow, Caballo Group. Just see what pulls up there. Alex and Cheryl Caballo. There we go. So they've got 11 reviews, 5-star, 20 sales in the last 12 months. So, not saying that she doesn't do more business than that, but I mean, that's not a whole ton that we couldn't, as agents do. But you can see their 20 sales last 12 months. We'll look at them on Instagram, almost 1,000 followers there. So they are trying to grow it. They're following 1,800 people. So that shows that they're active. They're out there trying to make things happen on Instagram. And they've got, 195 posts, so pretty active there. This looks like it goes to their Remax page. And then Facebook-wise, I found just a personal profile. I didn't find a business page, but that was probably because I was actually searching for her name. If we look at that, Caballo Real Estate, we'll look at pages. Yeah, I don't see them there either. So that's not to say that they don't have one. I just couldn't find it. If we come over here to Zillow, we go to, yeah, there we go. So they do have one. Let's take a look at what they're doing there, if they're doing anything special. Looks like now about 170 people. They don't even have any ratings yet. So guys, I mean, it just goes to show you can tell the different level of business, right? We look at, somebody doing 80 homes a year and they've got 180 Zillow reviews, or I forget what it was for that agent there. But then, you come to somebody like this and they've got 20 sales at least showing on Zillow, and they're not as organized there, right? And that's not to say that they're a bad agent or anything like that. I'm sure they're great. I mean, hell, they were posted on a 30 under 30. I was never even on that, right? So, I mean, they're doing some stuff right. But I mean, it just goes to show that you can always be doing some things better too, as far as your online presence goes. And so from that, I would, give it probably a 5 or a 6, right, on social media presence. Like they're there, it's professional looking, they've got some posts going, but nothing that I would say, is standing out to me. So anything there, Curtis, that you wanted to share?
Nope.
All right.
On to the next one.
On to the next one. Good stuff. All right. Well, this next one here, this is a cool one. I looked her up, and she's probably the biggest on social media. So I'm kind of excited to kind of show the presence on this one. But her name is Jing Fang, and she's out of San Francisco, California. 29-year-old out of the Bay Area, right? So here's her game plan for success. She says, of course, know what's being sold on the market and for what price to convert leads into clients. And I'll tell you guys, I'm sure that every market's got its little intricacies, but I can, from just what I can gather from probably the San Francisco real estate market, and because of the price point that you're playing at that level, is you do got to be pretty sharp, I would imagine. Not saying you don't have to be sharp in other markets, but when somebody's average price point is $700,000-$800,000. And you're probably selling $1 million homes on the regular, you got to be probably pretty sharp on your numbers and valuations and stuff like that. So to see that as being her number one game plan for success, that doesn't surprise me. Having a lead funnel system in place. So this is kind of the cool one that I thought, she's the first person that actually mentioned like a lead funnel system. I couldn't actually come across any of what she was doing on her lead funnel. I do see like her Instagram and stuff like that does kind of go to like her website and stuff. And maybe she's getting phone calls. Maybe they're getting, email inquiries, or just, people reaching out on their social media, messages and things like that. Those are stuff that I can't track. But I would imagine with the amount of like social following she has, that's probably a lot of where her business is coming from. And I'll show you here in a little bit what that looks like. But she also says, building trust with clients by looking into the details. Attention to details sets her apart from a lot of other agents. So anyways, we all know that, what that can do. Of course, you want to be giving a great experience. We talked about that earlier, and just making sure that, that agent or that client that you're working with feels like, you've got their back in every aspect, that you're not an agent that's dropping the ball. So again, that's something that kind of goes on, without saying. Learn how to work efficiently and how to use your time wisely. So again, we talked about this kind of in the technology part of it, but having a CRM system in place to be more organized, that's probably part of why she doesn't forget the details, right? If you're just doing things like a lot of people, and it's not bad. Like people say, oh, well, I'm old school, right? I use, piece of, paper and stuff like that. And yeah, that can work. I mean, but, once you get to a certain level, I feel like you're going to drop the ball. You're not going to be as organized as you would be if you had something that, not only keeps you organized, but it makes you organized automatically, right? Like it's doing the stuff that makes you not drop the ball automatically. If you don't have a system in place, chances are you're going to drop the ball at some point in time. So, using her time wisely, having a CRM, creating a solid business plan and setting goals. We already talked about that. And then she talks about taking care of the financial aspects of the business. Super important, guys. You don't know how many agents that I talk to that they're not set up like as an LLC. At least here in Texas, I mean, you got to have a brokerage license to get paid into an LLC. But if you've been in real estate for 4 years, at least in Texas, and you can potentially get your broker's license, it is a no-brainer, the tax savings that you'll get getting paid into an LLC. And so one of the things that I'll say is, go get with your financial advisor, whoever does your taxes. If you're at that level where you're selling, $80,000 to $100,000 in real estate a year, you've got to make sure that on a financial aspect, you are set up for success there. And that's not something that we all understand or get. So just make sure you're working with somebody that's competent in that. And she says, make sure that you have a tax accountant that specializes in 1099 tax returns. So anyways, and if you don't know somebody like that, that's why it's important to have a good network, right? Go to the realtors that are doing a high level of business and ask them for some suggestions as to who they're using for accountants. So pretty cool there. Let's open up her social media stuff here. So she's got an amazing website, right? jingfangrealestate.com looks really pretty. Nice little video kind of going on there. Really, really nice. She has her just solds, right? Which I think is a cool little touch. And it shows all the homes that she sold. Be nice to be able to sell some $3 million homes, 1.5 million. But guys, I mean, you can just tell, this is professional, right? This is what you got to be in all markets, but especially I would say San Francisco, right? So you got that. Let's take a look at her Instagram. She got 6,500 followers. All right. Really cool there. Top 1%. Really professional looking stuff. She's got some, things of her. She's got clients. She's got house pictures, kind of a mix of everything, right? Some videos. There you go. So you can just kind of see what she's doing there on Instagram. Pretty cool stuff. And she's getting a lot of, engagement, with over 175 likes, some comments. It's just good to see that kind of stuff there. And again, if we go here, I don't know, let's see what link her Instagram takes us to. Click on that. All right. Oh, alumni. Here we go. Join us for. Oh, so she must have just changed that. You on Instagram, you can have one link on there. So it looks like she's got an event that's kind of coming up. Yeah. So she's kind of promoting this event. It looks like. But then on her Facebook, here's like her Facebook. I couldn't find an actual Facebook business page. I found one for her real estate brokerage that she's a part of, but you can kind of see here what she's done. She's mixing a lot of her Facebook stuff on her personal profile along with her business stuff. Oh, here we go. There we go. We can click on that. Jing Fang Climb Real Estate. So 656 people like it. No ratings. I was kind of surprised by that one. I did want to pull up her Zillow.
It just shows you what the kids are doing, right, Kyle? Like you've been saying it for a little while, and you've been saying like you kind of think that the Facebook business page, at least in the current construct and the way Facebook doesn't promote it and doesn't give you reach, is not uber relevant. And I think she has so far, in my opinion, like the best social game all around, and not a very active business page. So I think it's sort of, I don't know, just reconfirms your suspicion.
Yep. Agreed. And so here we go. We look at this. So she's got 26 5-star reviews. That's pretty huge, especially because she's probably not doing a whole lot of volume, but her average sales price is probably a lot higher than the majority of us. So I would imagine she's probably still selling over, 15 to maybe even 20 million in volume, just depending on what her average sales price is, even with 13 sales in the last 12 months. So pretty cool stuff there. You can see that. And then her, brokerage, of course, has 64 5-star reviews. So it's good to have, just a presence. And like I say, on Zillow, she's best of Zillow. I don't even know what that means. But anyways, she's got a good Zillow profile. There's some actual stuff on there for her. Again, I'm not saying you need to go out and, pay for Zillow or be a premier agent or anything like that. But even myself, I made it a big, deal for me to go out and get some Zillow reviews because, like it or not, people are searching for real estate. They're going to see, real estate from Zillow. So you want to be on there. So if they look you up, you look like you're at least hanging with the people in your market and you've got some stuff on there. So cool. So that kind of, sums it up for all of that. I'm going to take off the stop share there and just open it up. I'm happy. We got about 10 minutes at this point. If anybody wants to maybe share thoughts or, feedback, what do they think? I'm actually going to read through. I know we got a lot of questions here in the chat and just see if I missed anything that I can go back from, but feel free to unmute yourself. Curtis, if you want to share anything as just a wrap up, feel free, but I'm going to just read some of these. It looks like you were handling a lot of the chat, Curtis. Appreciate that.
No problem.
Cool.
Yeah. One thing that I took away from it, it actually reminded me of this book that I was reading. This is a shout out to our boy, Ian Flanagan. He recommended this book a little while ago. It's called Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blount. And I went and ordered it because it seemed like what I wanted to read about. I've been a big prospector for a long time inside my real estate sales business. And even before real estate, I've spent a lot of times on the phones. The little subtitle of this book is called Social Selling, Telephone, Email, Text, and Cold Calling, right? So what that is, that little subtitle, it kind of is what I took away from everybody. It's a balance, right? Like everybody's success is based on their personal balance. And one of the formulas that this author puts out in this book, it's a little abstract, but I really like it. He said, efficiency plus effectiveness equals performance. Efficiency plus effectiveness equals performance. So when you look at all these different people, they all have a different way to be effective. They're not exactly the same. And they all mention some form of efficiency, right? So efficiency is making the most of your time and using your resources to the best of your ability to give you more time and leverage, right? And effectiveness is how good you are at taking advantage of every single, moment or chance or opportunity. And that all equals your performance, right? So the biggest thing I took away from these folks is you don't have to do it exactly their way. You have to do it the way that makes you most effective, but you have to give consideration to being efficient, right? Like when do you need a tool? Well, if you're super effective at something, use a tool to give you more time to be effective at that thing. So that's kind of like the biggest thing I took away from all these people. Almost every single bullet point had a little bit of efficiency best practices and a little bit of effectiveness best practices. And then what it rolls up to for all of them is high performance in their real estate game.
I love it. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to go get that book now. I got it on Audible. I just haven't downloaded it, so I guess I gotta go download it and listen to it.
Yeah, it's worth it, man. It's solid. It just it hammers home like a couple of points. Every single person, in my opinion, basically said it. It's like, to be a top producing agent, period, you have to be a effective, relentless prospector. Like, that's it, and that's, like, you look back at any time, most successful times in your career, and like you talked about, Kyle, years and years of super relentless prospecting, like that's what the book hammers home. And these people all say it, and it shows in their, in their business as you research them.
I love it. I love it. Well, cool. Yeah. One of the books I'm reading, I got to finish this one first. And this is kind of outside of real estate. I mean, it's definitely applicable because it's important that we all know what to do when we're making the money. But it's an awesome book. My good friend, AJ Maida recommended it to me, but it's a simple path to wealth. And it's just about, personal finance and savings and all that kind of stuff. It's an awesome book. So I just been throwing that out there if anybody wants to go read it. I'm about 3/4 of the way through, and it's been so eye-opening of how simple it can be to truly create, an easy retirement and, a wealth, something that you can pass on, something that you can live on. And it's, all about starting early and just being consistent, which again, I mean, that it kind of translates into this. What was the book again? It's A Simple Path to Wealth, Latrice. So yeah, go out there and get it. It's a great book. I'm going to look at Fanatical Prospecting. That's the next one on my list now.
Hey, Kyle, something else I took away, man. It's kind of funny. I'm glad you bring up Simple Path to Wealth, right? And you mentioned that you were 33, or 31, 33, but you still feel young, right? And all these people were 30 under 30. Like, the other reminder is, age is just a number, right? It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how many years of experience you have. It just matters kind of where you're at right now, point in time, right? So if you're, you want to spend the next 3 years becoming like these agents and being the best of the best in your market, like, you can. You want to spend the next few years creating simple wealth, you can. If you're 20 years old, 23 years old, you can be having your own brokerage, running your own team, doing whatever you want to do in the next 2 or 3 years, right? Like, that's all it takes. It just takes the right mindset. It takes the right approach. It takes applying a simple formula. Like, there's absolutely nothing stopping you regardless of age or experience level. That's the other thing I took away from that. As you look at those people and they're all uber successful, it doesn't matter how old they are. Like, they're just building something awesome with the right approach. And we all have that opportunity every day.
That's it. That's it. Well, cool, guys. Well, I guess we'll wrap this one up then. It looks like all the questions were pretty much answered in the chat. So I appreciate you doing that, Curtis. So we don't even have to really cover any of that. But one of the things that I'll say is if, you want to go back and watch any of these previously recorded weeks, I literally have got, I think there's like 24, 25 past weeks of these. Plus, I've put in some extra like bonus trainings that I didn't even put on my YouTube channel or that we didn't even cover on a Monday Mastermind into my Patreon page. So if you haven't already checked that out, just go to patreon.com/Kyle Handy. You can literally join. I think it's like $4.98 a month, but you get access to all the past trainings, and you'll get access to all of the future recorded ones. So like if you missed this live, then you can jump on in the afternoon. I usually go on Monday afternoon and upload this to the Patreon page. So you can go and watch any of them if you missed them. So I hope that helps for everybody. If there's anything I can ever do to bring more value to you guys, let me know. I love kind of doing all this like research, looking at a topic, learning about it, and then coming back and kind of sharing, my insight and my knowledge with it, and then hearing from you guys what you think about it. So if there's ever a topic that I can cover, feel free to reach out to me. Send me a message on Facebook, send me an email, kyle@thehandyteam.com. And I'd be happy to, look into it and cover it for you guys. It's kind of cool. I just did a training last night actually, that I'll be putting to my YouTube channel about how to edit real estate listing videos. And so that's going to be part of a series that I'm putting together about how to do your own photography and videography for your listings, for real estate listings. And so I think that should be pretty cool. If people don't already know, I mean, all of my listing videos that I've done probably in the last year, 9 months have all been, done by myself. And so I've had a lot of experience editing them, shooting them. And now at this point, it doesn't take quite as long as what you might think. And so for me, it's a great investment up front. Of course, you're gonna have to spend some money on the gear. But I've saved, I don't even know, hundreds or thousands of dollars, probably thousands of dollars if you factor in the video that I've been able to save on for each of my listings, because those things run $700 to $1,000, per listing video. And so I just released a training, or I'm going to be releasing one today on my YouTube channel, that is how I edit all of my real estate listing videos. And so that'll be a good one to watch. And then of course, I'll follow that up with how to actually shoot the real estate listing videos. I just need somebody to come along with me while I'm shooting one so they can record what I'm doing. It's a little hard to do both at the same time. So if I've got any takers that are in San Antonio that want to get some experience recording behind a camera, let me know. You can come along with me to my next listing. I got one coming up, and maybe we can do that together. But anyways, I got that coming. If there's anything I can ever do though, topic wise, let me know. Would love to research it and get back to you guys on it. So thanks so much for joining us today on the Monday call. If you want, again, I do a Tuesday call as well, focused around eXp Realty agent attraction. That it's, the same kind of format. It's a mastermind. If you're with eXp already, obviously you're welcome to join that if revenue share is something that you're interested in. If you're not, then maybe you're looking to build a team or something like that, and you just want to get some kind of recruiting, some team building ideas, you're welcome to join in that as well. So, but it is specific to eXp. So, don't be afraid if you hear a lot of eXp stuff. So, but anyways, just trying to provide as much value as I can. That one is thetuesdaymastermind.com. It's at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time every Tuesday. But anyways, we'll talk to you guys later. Curtis, is there anything you wanted to share or promote that you got going on this week?
Yeah, man, I always want to invite everybody to the Tuesday database fundamentals class that I teach. If you're at eXp, it's in our eXp world in our university auditorium. If you're not at eXp, I drop my personal Facebook link in the chat. You can message me and I'll invite you. You can get a guest pass. The way this class is shaping up every single Tuesday, guys, is to kind of be a little shot in the arm for managing and leveraging your database, right? So let's say, I'll tell you the best time to make prospecting calls are Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays every single week. So you get your, ducks in a row on Mondays, you deal with your follow-up from the weekend, you plan out your week, you make some calls, run some appointments. On Tuesday mornings, block off 2 or 3 hours to start prospecting. Come into my database class, 11 a.m. Central Time. And right afterwards, start making some calls, or make a couple hours worth of calls before class, and then I'll help you get organized when you get to class. So that's every single Tuesday, 11 a.m. Central Time in eXp World.
I love it. Awesome. Well, guys, thanks again so much for joining today. I hope everyone has an amazing week, and we'll see you next week. Take care.